Hi, everybody, and welcome to our first ever TBH Live interview. Today, I am talking to Kathy Stowell of Bliss Beyond Naptime. Kathy has been writing about creativity, self-care, and simplicity over at Bliss Beyond Naptime since 2006, and she is the founder of Mama Bliss Coaching School, a 12-week life and creativity coaching training program that has certified over 30 moms in 8 countries so far. That's really amazing. Kathy lives in the sleepy mountain town of Nelson in British Columbia, where she's a triple latte-fueled mom to 2 kids, a 13-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy, wife to a rock climbing obsessed engineer, and the special person to their blonde wiener dog named Angel. Welcome, Kathy.
Thanks, Samantha. I just
It's so
never get
fun to
tired
have
of
you.
listening to intros. They're so funny and weird,
Yeah, I
but
love
fun to hear.
yours. I love yours. I actually also have a rock climbing obsessed engineer husband.
No.
We
Oh
have
my
so much
God.
in common.
I know. And you don't have a wiener dog though, right?
I don't. I have a golden doodle.
Okay, they're pretty cool. He's like a golden doodle, but his legs are only
He's
like
tiny.
3 inches. Yeah.
Adorable. I love it. Okay, so why don't you just tell us a bit about when and why you started your business?
Okay. So like you mentioned in 2006, and being a mom, I don't even think of like the year. I think more of how old my kids were. And then my mind gets blown because back then my daughter was a toddler. She was just on the cusp of being 2. And she's 13 now. Like she's technically a teenager now. So it's kind of crazy to think of it back then. But it came because we moved from Calgary, Alberta to Nelson, that sleepy town you mentioned. And so I started a blog just as a way for the grandparents to keep tabs of what we're up to. And I just fell in love with how that enabled me to connect with moms all over because we started up a hobby farm in the middle of nowhere, but lots of mountains for Craig to climb.
Yeah.
And it was a great way to connect with other moms. And the blogging was, first of all, a way to document my creative outlets, but then it turned into like my favorite creative outlet of all. So after a while, it was like, how can I monetize this? Because I knew I was the world's most giant homebody after having kids. I just never want to leave the house. And so I began playing with different ways to monetize. So I had some Etsy shops because back then I was hyper crafty as well. I was like sewing all our clothes, knitting, even spinning art yarn. And then I was starting to feel kind of a little greedy with my creative outbursts. So I was like, oh man, I want to save these items I'm creating and start, doing what my mom did, which was dressing me and my brother up in matching outfits that she made. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to make a sewing course. So I made a sewing course called the Backwoods Mama Sew Camp. And it was such a fun way to connect with my followers. It was really cool to get those alerts that you got PayPal notification. It was like, cool, I was sleeping. And it was fully automated. They get immediate access to the patterns to download and print out. But what I really loved was getting the photos from the women who are going through the program of wearing their cute little bloomers and their little tunics. I'm like, oh, they look so happy and pleased. And the testimonials, just gushing about the program. And it was just so cool. So I wanted to take it a bit like deeper, a little bit more intimate. So that's why I decided to get certified first as a simplicity parenting coach, because everyone was like, how are you doing all that you do? Because back then, we had cows and chickens and a permaculture garden, and I was homeschooling, plus being super prolific with my creative outbursts and now a business. And when I meditated on it, it was on embracing simplicity principles. And so I also wanted to, get creativity coaching certification just to help, guide them towards taking those small steps towards creating well, first of all, the time to be creative, and then observing too, when I was creative, it like generated energy within me to inspire my kids, but also to manifest my dreams and goals.
Great. That's really amazing. And I know that we had connected last time we talked when we were not being recorded about simplicity parenting. And that's something that we have in common as well. So I encourage everyone, every mom watching, to check out the work of Kim John Payne. He's just a fantastic educator and parenting expert. And I really enjoy his books and his work. So,
and his books are like fun reads too. It's not like you're reading like how to parent book. He's funny and it's relatable and totally doable.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not one of those books where it's like suddenly you feel guilty. I think he's very realistic about whatever you can do is better than nothing to improve what you're doing. So yes, love him. All right. So tell me a bit more about where you are right now in your business.
Oh, so right now where I am is, I don't know if you notice about this. I mean, I'm a hyper creative, and so I'm always kind of want to making things. And since I started all this, like 12 years ago, I created a lot of offerings, like a lot. Like if you go back to my archives, and so I have a tendency to get an idea. I'm an idea machine. So what is new with me? Very inspired again, the simplicity principles, but also, I think I read a book, Essentialism, and there's another great book called The Pumpkin Plan. That's a really great book written by the same guy who wrote Profit First. But anyways, the theme there was just simplifying even your business. So I have recently just streamlined things. So my prime focus right now is my coaching training program. So that's new because I used to offer some other kind of different coaching packages. So what that looks like is, so in October, I'm actually going to offer my 10th run of it. But until then, what's new is I offer something called Mama Bliss Coaching Private School. So I'm taking one-on-one coaching training students until then. So give you a better picture of what my business kind of looks like. Number-wise, so typically I've been offering it twice a year, so every 6 months. I have the fall session and the spring session. I charge $2,500 per student, and for some reason, 7 students are kind of like my magic number. And it's my lucky number too. I guess there's some kind of condition that people can get where numbers take on a personality, not to be a weirdo, but ever since I was little, I found the number 7 just to be so handsome for some reason. So anyways, it's always been kind of like my Prince Charming of a number. So it's really odd. I keep getting like 7 students. But I'm hoping to change that. I'm going to have to break up with number 7.
Yeah, maybe 77.
There we go. So I'm really excited. I actually worked with one of my dream business coaches. We just wrapped things up, actually. So I'm really excited about the implementation part. And I knew what the issue was. So, I've been at this for a long time, and I had a pretty substantial list, but everyone on the list who's going to be a Mama Bliss coach has already gone through the program, or that's not their jam. So that's what's alive right now is I am focusing on list building, meeting new people, new audiences, and I'm having lots of fun with it, lots of fun latte chats with people, and the school calling in the middle of those latte chats, your kids in the swollen lip or hives all over, she's feeling sick. Anyway, and also just to give you another picture, I work approximately only 20 hours a week. And funny thing is, I know this because my husband, the engineer, he's always gave me grief that I never kept track of my hours, and he's a contract worker, so he is so like me, must like write that down. So just to appease him, I started tracking using Toggle Timer. It's on my desktop, and at first I was just like, I'll just do this just to like, keep him happy. And I loved it because I was at it for a long time, and consistently, I didn't really have to think too much. I just had to remember to record what it was I was doing. I worked 20 hours a week. which was kind of what I was aiming for. You know, I just want this to be like a part-time job, really. So it's just funny how it's like what you get what you ask for, you know, it's like literally a part-time hours type setup here. So
Yeah, I love that even though you hadn't been tracking hours, once you did, you discovered that it was exactly what you wanted. I had that experience this year when tracking my income. Because I get income through a lot of different streams. And so finally I was like, okay, I can't just like not calculate this up and like watch it month to month. And I know like some people may be freaking out that I actually was doing that, but I was. And once I finally did that, I realized, oh, this is like better than I thought. I need to really, you know, step this up a notch, become more serious about what I'm doing. So
nice.
It's interesting that you had that with time too. So maybe that's my next task, is tracking my time.
I know. Yeah, it's really, and you know, my husband's my muse on so many levels. Like you might have noticed I talk a lot. The guy doesn't say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, he's always inspiring me to kind of find that middle road, and yeah, it's helpful.
Nice. Well, what kind of challenges have you faced while building your business, and how have you overcome them?
Ooh, okay. So, you know, as you're probably aware, the entrepreneurial path, it's a doozy, not for the faint of heart. It brings up stuff, you know, and so one of the challenges I found most interesting, it's when I notice when I feel depleted, I'm feeling overwhelmed, you know, my mama bliss, I call it, is off. And interesting enough, a lot of it comes when I'm kind of in research mode, even like, you know, where, you know, I should be, you know, who I should be approaching. So it causes me to look outside of what I'm up to. So I notice, if I start looking too much at what other people are up to, the comparison starts to happen. And I start to feel a bit down. And I remember, I don't know if you follow Marie Forleo, but she had a really funny episode once about, I can't remember the word she used. She had a funny word, something about comparison to a hangover, a comparison hangover. And she had a funny word for it. And that's exactly what it feels for me. If I start spending too much time, like seeing what, you know, especially someone who I've noticed kind of started around the same time as me. And I notice like how many views they get on their whatever, or how many, you know, a number thing. Oh, I could get like, oh my God. And it's funny because I always kind of say out loud, like, I'm so not competitive. But that's when I start to get it competitive. So I try to kind of use it to my advantage to like do better, try harder. But mostly, I just try not to look.
Yeah.
So what I try, it's just like, don't even. So I used to teach yoga before I had kids, and I would say to my students, like, don't look on the other person's mat, you know, like just stay on your planet mat, and you know, keep the blinders on.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I think in so many arenas in business, you know, not comparing, not following what other people are doing just because that seems like what everyone's doing.
Yep.
I think it's just so applicable across the board with business. What other advice do you have specifically for moms who are either just starting out in business or maybe kind of struggling a couple years in?
Sure. Actually, again, while I was teaching yoga, and I think about it, I had another side hustle. I used to make handmade hemp soap. And I would sell them at farmers markets, and I would sell them to yoga studios. And my biggest customers were my yoga students, actually. And then once I had my daughter, I sold the business. And I remember handing over, you know, the figurative keys over to the new owner. And I told her, my only piece of advice, and this is totally applicable to online business or any kind of business, and especially if you're a mom, because, you know, life stuff comes up, is to challenge yourself to do at least one thing, you know, like every day, you know, finger thing. Like if you want to choose like Monday through Friday, take the weekends off, but the days that you're working, do one thing, even if it's like the smallest gesture to move your business forward, even if it's just to send out one email to a past client to say, I'm thinking of you, or to post one thing on your Facebook page, or to, do one small task on your to-do list. So, and that's actually the core of my Mama Bliss coaching philosophy as well. My creativity coaching is based on Kaizen news, which is the Japanese philosophy, Kaizen, to take small steps to reach your goals, like taking them every day. So just being consistent, but even if you're feeling you're in a season of your motherhood where time is super limited and stuff's coming up, even if it's just to like read a business book and then take, your, couple of takeaways from it and write in your journal. And then when the season's more kind of, smiling down upon you, to get some more actual time to be productive, you'll be good to go. You'll have the mindset, but yes, small, tiny baby steps forward.
I love that. That is a really good piece of advice. Do you have any specific parenting advice? Like maybe just a small tidbit? Yeah. I just feel inspired. I want one of your tips.
Okay. Encourage boredom in your kids. Don't be afraid of boredom. Don't feel like they need to be entertained 24/7. Like, I know it's painful and they come in and they're whining, I'm bored. You know what? Egg it on. Just like, ooh, not to be mean, but you could do what my mom did to me when I was little. Like, ooh, does it hurt? What does it feel like? I never been like, what does that feel like,
Yeah.
Or, well, just, stand your ground. And sure enough, they're going to get into some kind of creative play. And, I've always kind of been that type of mom, like super boring and like not one to get down there and play. And I was always in awe of my girlfriends who are like that, because I'm like, oh, wow, I could never do that. But, I just feel that's a big part of the reason I've been able to get so much accomplished too. Just like make an environment conducive for the kids to have that open-ended play, perhaps depending on their age, like a tickle trunk full of clothes for them to play dress up, a little crafty station just all set up, but, let them fend to themselves, and then just lean on what your childhood was like, and then allow them to get lost in that magic of just uninterrupted imaginative time.
Yeah, that is great. I think there's so much pressure on modern parents to always be entertaining our kids. So I love that. Like back to basics, back to what our childhoods were like, where we had to make our own fun. And that's probably why we're doing what we are today, because we're able to come up with those ideas and be creative. So that one's great.
Hey,
thank you.
You're welcome.
So how can people contact you if they want to know more or want to work with you?
Sure. My website's called blissbeyondnaptime.com. And I'm just kind of smiling because even if you Google Kathy Stowell, you're going to get inundated with a ton of images of me. I don't know how that happened. And I tried Googling my husband, and sadly it was all these like obituaries for other Craigslist. How come he's not here? Anyways, blissbeyondnaptime.com. Thanks for that. And I am just on the cusp of creating a page full of freebies, but the freebie I'm most excited about these days is I'm offering complimentary 30-minute Mama Bliss coaching sessions. So if you want to experience a taste of what this coaching approach is like, I'll give you one tool, either to, really build up your Mama Bliss, which is based upon self-care practice, creativity, simplicity, meditating on your values, or even to help get you unstuck where you might be feeling kind of like plugged up and making some progress with your biz dreams. Yeah.
Great. All right. And do you have any kind of freebies or anything like that you want to promote to us today?
Sure. Mostly the 30-minute coaching session.
Yeah.
So that and other ones you could choose from. I have one that's called 24 More Hours. So some of my favorite tips to get more time. So 24 tips to get you 24 more hours. I always kind of get that tripped up. And finally, another freebie would be a 3-part video series on the day of a life of a Mama Bliss coach, in case you want to get a little sneak peek on what that would look like.
Great. And where would we find those?
If you head over to blissbeyondnaptime.com, all of my freebies are there on the homepage.
Okay. Fantastic. So thank you so much, Kathy. This was really fun. I love chatting with you. I love all of our connections. So we will definitely have to keep in touch, and hopefully whoever listens or watches this will head on over to your website and get in touch with you as well.
That would be awesome.
Great. Thank you so much for your time and information and tips and everything.
It was fun. Thank you.
It was great. All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.